事務局局長。
Secretary for Home Affairs。
好，主席，再次感謝議員嘅發言同。
President, members, I'm grateful to you, to members for their views. I would like to speak on sports, youth development, culture, and also building management. The Hong Kong team won 1 gold, 2 silvers, and 3 bronze medals in the Tokyo Olympics. Is an unprecedented achievement. And we could all see that they have worked very hard and they are our pride. We
are speeding up the development of the new facility buildings of the HKSI to strive for completion in the middle of year 2024. We will also work with the Jockey Club Charity Fund to inject $300 million to support sports science. Through research in sports medicine and sports science, we will enhance the performance of our athletes in international events. We will continue to promote elite sports, making sports into industry, as well as enhancing the professional development of sports. With the expected completion of the Kai Tak Sports Park in year 2023 and the opportunities in the GBA, it will surely benefit the diversified development of sports, providing ample job opportunities for retired athletes. We have engaged a consultant to study the relevant issue. And we will consult the business sector as well as the sports sector concerning industrialization of sports. Thanks to the support of the central government, Hong Kong, Guangdong Province, and Macau will co-host the national games in year 2025. Together with the Guangdong provincial government and the Macau government, the Hong Kong SAR government will co-host a simple, safe, and marvelous national games. Now we strive to nurture a sports culture in schools so as to enhance the physical fitness of students as well as their participation in sports. Together with the Education Bureau, we will review how we can increase the teaching hours as well as opportunities to participate in competition for students so that they have a sound foundation since a young age. After enhancing the sports subvention scheme, the annual subvention for NSAs have been increased from $300 million to over $500 million. Also, we have the pilot scheme on subvention for new sports to support the promotion and development of a range of new sports. We also have the pilot scheme on multi-year grants, which further supports the long-term development of NSAs and the popularization of sports in Hong Kong. The government will make its best efforts to take forward the Kai Tak Sports Park project and construct more large-scale community sports facilities. Given the current progress, the project is expected to be completed by the end of year 2022. We will also actively implement the 5-year plan for sports and recreation facilities. Among the 26 projects, 21 of them have obtained funding approval from the previous term of the Legislative Council. We will endeavour to seek funding approval on other projects as soon as possible, and we look forward to members' support. Last year, the Leisure and Cultural Services Department launched its one-stop online resources center, the LCSD Edutainment Channel. A total of around 1,000 videos have been uploaded to the channel. As of January this year, the channel has recorded 21 million viewership. Following the encouraging response to the Sports 101 video series, the LCSD will release more sports videos this year to develop the public's understanding of and interest in sports, popularize sports, and bring sports into people's home. We are grateful for the State Council's support for Hong Kong to become an East-Meets-West Centre for International Cultural Exchange under the 14th Five-Year Plan. The Chief Executive mentioned in the policy address, the government will continue to develop our role through 5 directions. That is to enhance our cultural landmarks, deepening connections with overseas arts and cultural bodies, deepen connection and collaboration with arts and cultural bodies in the mainland, and make good use of talents and technology. It includes expanding and deepening our existing cultural landmarks, as well as hosting arts exhibition in Hong Kong, promoting the exchange between local and overseas arts groups, as well as expanding into the mainland arts market, helping local arts bodies to tap the mainland market, as well as promote the China story. Through exchange activities, we will showcase our artistic achievements. We will also collaborate with overseas museums to borrow antiquities to exhibit in Hong Kong. The government will continue to take a multi-pronged approach to develop our arts and culture talents, which includes arts administration, arts tech, and script writing. We will also deepen our nurturing of talents in the restoration industry and provide opportunity of internship and encourage the professional development of talents in the field. And also, the talent list will include arts tech talents. Through introducing quality art tech talents, we can further encourage the development of the trade. In terms of Cantonese opera, we will make use of the Cantonese Opera Development Fund to encourage continuous learning of Cantonese opera talents to ensure the long-term development of the intangible heritage. Various local landmarks are being commissioned, which includes the expanded and reopened Hong Kong Art Museum, the Sishu Center in the West Kowloon Cultural District, and the M+ Museum, which opened in last November. The Hong Kong Palace Museum and the East Kowloon Cultural Center will be opened in the middle of this year and commissioned in stages in year 2023, respectively. The current term government attached great importance to youth development and strives to address young people's concerns about education, career pursuits, and home ownership, and encourage their participation in politics as well as public policy discussion and debate. After the Black Lives violence, we have to steer our young people back to the right track. We will continue to listen to young people and assist them to seize the opportunity of integrating into the national development. We must also put more emphasis on nurturing young people's positive thinking and enable them to become a new generation with a sense of responsibility and with an aspiration and willingness to strive for the future of our country and of Hong Kong. We will roll out brand new funding schemes for programs which nurture positive thinking in the youth, as well as systematic and quality outdoor adventure training activities. In order to offer more opportunities for young people to participate in policy discussions, the current term government has always strived to appoint young people to various government advisory bodies. The overall ratio of youth members in advisory and statutory bodies has increased from 7.8% by the end of 2017 to 14.8% as at the middle of last year, essentially meeting the target of 15% set by the current term government. We will continue to take forward the Member Self-Recommendation Scheme for Youth. Given the positive feedback, starting from Phase 4, the number of participating committees in each phase has been increased from 10 to 15. Application for Phase 5 of the scheme has just begun. In order to help young people seize the opportunities under the 14th Five-Year Plan and the GBA development, more resources were committed in the past few years to optimize various mainland youth exchange and internship programs. We have also rolled out funding schemes under the Youth Development Fund to support innovative startups by Hong Kong youth in the GBA. We will closely monitor the developments of the epidemic and resume the programs in a safe and pragmatic manner. To promote the development of to help ethnic minorities in Hong Kong overcome cultural differences and language barriers for better integration into the community, we have a number of targeted services to help them. These include the enhanced translation service for ethnic minorities at cheer centers under the Home Affairs Department since year 2019. Services which target new immigrants and ethnic minorities youth at support centers under the HAD have been enhanced. We have also invited NGOs to participate in the district-based programs for racial harmony. So far, over 150 district-based activities were held to encourage communication and exchange between ethnic minorities and the local community. We will continue to work closely with local bodies and EM groups to promote social harmony. Building management not only improves living conditions, it also drives community building. The HAD has been providing multi-pronged support to building owners and tenants. The HAD plans to invite local organizations to get in touch with tenants in 3 new buildings. The one-year pilot scheme will be conducted in the first and second quarters in Sham Shui Po and Tsuen Wan. And beginning from the middle of this year, districts with more 3 new buildings will also have this program implemented. We will be actively engaging with building owners and tenants of 3 new buildings. President, I thank members for their invaluable views. I urge members to support the motion of thanks I will submit. President.
Secretary for the Environment.
President, yes, please continue. You're coming through. President and members of the Council, thank you very much for your comments on the environment aspect in the PC, in the PA. Now, in terms of climate action plan and air quality improvement and waste reduction, now we have various measures in the policy address. Now, first on tackling climate change. Last year, the government announced the Climate Action Plan 2015 in a comprehensive manner. We set out a number of measures. We have got the net zero electricity generation, energy savings and green buildings, and green transport and waste reduction. throughout the community. These are 4 major strategies so that we can move towards carbon neutrality by 2050. And in new development areas, we will have carbon neutrality planning. We will develop green ecology to provide jobs, and there can be synergy in improvement environment and also a healthier lifestyle and living environment to benefit the public. I'm grateful to Dr. David Lam, Professor Dennis Lam, and also Mr. Vincent Zhang for their very bold comments. Yes, we will make use of our environment initiatives to provide jobs. We are now trying to have low carbon in our fuel mix for local electricity generation and the use of renewable energy. We pledge to cease the use of coal in our daily electricity generation by 2035 and increase the percentage of renewable energy in power generation. With regional cooperation, we'll be able to achieve zero waste in electricity generation by 2015. And then with the feed-in tariff scheme, we are providing incentives. So in 3 years, the number of applications have reached 19,000, and we have reduced the total power consumption of many domestic users. We hope that we can lower power consumption in commercial buildings by 20 to 30%, and then by 2035 we'll be able to achieve at least half of our target. We will continue to have energy efficiency audits and for retrofitting of building services and appliances. Now, we must have better planning. Now, last year we had this role plan for using green or E vehicles, and we'll follow various green transport measures. By 2035, we will stop the registration of petrol vehicles, and then we can achieve the target of zero emission for transport by 2035. We will also promote the use of electric and new energy public transport and commercial vehicles, and that would include a trial and wide application of electric buses, light buses, and taxis. I hope that by 2035 we can have a plan for using green vehicles. We thank Mr. Frankie, Mr. Vincent Zhang, Mr. Chang Shih-hong for supporting our board direction. Our members' views will be followed up and incorporated into our relevant plans. We've also promoting general reduction in waste. Hopefully, by 2035, we can have enough waste to energy facilities so that we can achieve the target of zero landfill as early as possible. We thank members for your support. We have announced that in the first half of this year, we're going to conduct an EIA and technical study for the second integrated waste management facilities, IPAC 2. At the same time, we're going to identify, trying to identify sites for further such facilities and to carry out the relevant studies. Now, I'd like to turn to air quality aspect. Now, we are now improving in air quality. In the past 10 years, we have seen the reduction in concentration of pollutants by 30%. We are going to launch the various initiatives under the Clean Air Plan 2035. We will study a smart air quality monitoring system, and we'll have a new round of targeted targets for pollutants reduction with the Guangdong province, and to improve the regional air quality. We will start a new round of air quality objective review to further tighten the indicators, and the relevant work is expected to be completed in 2023. The third area is waste reduction and recycling. The MSW charging bill was enacted in August last year. The preparation period of 18 months have already started to allow the government and different sectors in society to be prepared for introduction of the charging scheme. In due course, we're going to report to the EA panel our progress of work and to consult members on the commencement date of the legislation. We look forward to members' support. In order to tie in with the MSW charging scheme, we will continue to expand our regional recycling network. Green and Community was rebranded in 2020, and every month over hundreds of thousands of people visited green recycling facilities. Earlier this year, we launched the Green Dollar Electronic Participation Incentive Scheme so that we can use technology to promote recycling. I think we have already got 130,000 accounts under the scheme, and we're going to further add 10 recycling stores in Hong Kong, and they're expected to be commissioned very soon. Looking forward, the important bottlenecks of recycling is for different sectors and members of the public to enhance the sense of sorting at source so that clean recycling can become a habit now. Fourthly, I want to thank Mr. Kwok Wai Keung for supporting the government's control of regulation of disposable plastic tableware, and he's concerned about our implementation timetable. In fact, in forging social consensus, it takes time, and because of the blackleg violence and also the 2 years of epidemic, our program has somehow been delayed. I will appeal to members so that we can expedite our progress so that we can promote a green economy and support recycling. Now, conservation. In October last year, the CE announced the Northern Metropolis, and a very proactive conservancy policy was announced. It was proposed that we resume private wetlands and fish ponds in Mears Bay, and together with the current conservation zones and government land, we can have a wet conservation park so that we can have development as well as conservation. I thank members for supporting this direction. The AFCD will start strategic feasibility study within this year to work out the scope, the management models, and implementation timetable of the park. The Countryside Conservation Office promotes countryside conservation, and it has set up an interdepartmental working group to review the licensing requirements and procedures for guest houses and eateries in the rural areas. So far, 5 village houses in Lai Chi Wo have been granted a guest house license. We thank members for your support. The Environment Bureau, together with policy bureaus, finalized a number of environmental protection blueprints, and I thank Mr. Vincent Zhang and other members for their support. And we are going to improve the water quality of the Victoria Harbour as well. Now we are at a critical juncture in the fight against the epidemic. The Environment Bureau has chipped in. We support the sewerage surveillance program to support the fight. As said in the Policy Address 2021, we should work together. I hope that together we can build a future of carbon neutrality so that we can benefit the community. I urge members to support the motion. Thank you. Secretary for Innovation and Technology.
I'm very much grateful to members for giving their invaluable comments in the 3-day debate on the 2021 policy address. They've given views in relation to innovation technology, and also they have spoken in support of the government's effort in promoting INT. The 2021 policy address demonstrates the government's commitment to promote the development of INT it's put forward various visionary and groundbreaking initiatives. This will allow Hong Kong to better integrate into the national development. Also, it maps out the way forward and helps us make preparation to develop Hong Kong into an international innovation and technology center under the 14th Five-Year Plan. In the past 4 years, we have plowed in unprecedented resources over $130 billion in promoting INT and developing a smart city. There are many figures to show that for startups, that's increased from 1,000 in 2014 to over 4,000 now, and then venture capital fund investment surged from $1.2 billion in 2015 to over $40 billion last year. There have been over 10 unicorns created in Hong Kong. It all shows that there's a thriving scene in the INT sector. And then Hong Kong is ranked Asia's #1 in the 2021 World Digital Competitiveness Ranking. We are actually ranked first two globally on technology. So this all shows that we're moving in the right direction. Under the new era with new opportunities, we have to build on our solid foundation, and we have to use a new mindset to promote INT development with full speed. This actually is in agreement with the views expressed by members on the broad direction forward. Now, I'm going to respond to the main points raised by members. First, on R&D infrastructure. To ensure sustainable development R&D, hardware support is essential. We see that there will be increasing demand for land for R&D, for innovation, technology, and advanced industry. So the government is actively seeking sites for that purpose. Now we are proceeding ahead with the construction of the Shenzhen Hong Kong Innovation and Technology Park, and then and also with the expansion schemes of the 2 other parks. And then in the policy address, land has been earmarked in Lok Ma Chau San Tin, Ma Liu Shui, and Lau Fao Shan for INT development. This will help to boost our land reserve for INT purpose. It will support our medium to long-term development needs. And we understand that our research is key to INT, so we want to build Hong Kong into an international innovation and technology center, and it's important that we lead such development in Greater Bay Area. Now we have strengths in this respect. 5 of our universities are among the top 100 globally, and our 2 medical schools are ranked among the top 50 in the world. And then we, under the Innovation and Technology Fund, the government has a series of subsidy schemes to support the industries, the academia, and the research institutes to carry out research work. And then we have this new flagship project, Hong Kong Research Clusters, that brings together over 30 world-renowned universities and research institutes to work with local universities to build 28 laboratories. Now, Hong Kong also has a great strength in life and health sciences research. Now we have 4 clinical testing centers approved by the National Medical Products Administration. They definitely, Hong Kong could contribute our strength to support, to meet what the country needs. And then in the policy address, the Life Health Hub is proposed so that we could focus on R&D. The Science and Technology Park Corporation is now in discussion with the Hospital Authority to see how it could make better use of clinical data of the HA for research purpose. And the government has been working hard to boost our talent pool. We have a series of measures at different stages of learning to train talents. In school curriculum, we want to build a strong foundation on INT knowledge for students, so they will become interested in INT, and then when they graduate, they will move to research work. Now, for primary and secondary students, we have the Knowing More About IT program. We also have the IT Innovation Lab in secondary schools. And then we also fund various extracurricular activities related to INT in schools and in primary and secondary schools. We also have the STEM internship scheme for local university students to take up a short-term internship. And then we have the research talent pool to fund the recruitment of talents. On bringing overseas talents to Hong Kong last year, we launched the Global STEM Professorship scheme. So well-renowned research teams are invited to come to Hong Kong to engage in research and teaching. And there are over 60 talents who have come to Hong Kong. Now, many members talked about the importance of seizing upon the opportunities of the GBA. This is very important for our INT development. The Greater Bay Area is a very important platform for integrating Hong Kong into the national development scene. So we will further our cooperation with Shenzhen and other municipalities in the Greater Bay Area on the front of INT. Will help local INT talents and startups to establish themselves in the GBA market. Now, last September, we have worked with the Shenzhen municipal government to launch policy pack so that we could bring in talents to the Shenzhen Hong Kong Innovation and Technology Cooperation Zone. And then in this zone, we're going to set up the GBA Inno Academy and GBA Inno Express at the two parks in Hong Kong and Shenzhen. And then the Science and Technology Park Corporation will also work with local universities with campuses in GBA, and then we could build an incubation network to train talents and provide support to them. Now, members also expressed about concern about the progress of reindustrialization. The policy address has proposed the reorganization of the government structure. One proposal is to rename the Innovation and Technology Bureau into the Innovation, Technology and Industry Bureau. I am grateful to the sectors for their positive response to this proposal. In fact, the government has always been promoting reindustrialization on the fronts of infrastructure, talents, capital, technology, and research. Now, the Advanced Manufacturing Sectors Center and Microelectronics Center in the Shang Kwan O and Yuen Long Inno Park will be completed this and next year. We are exploring the construction of the second Advanced Manufacturing Centers. Then in terms of talents, the reindustrialization funding scheme provides matching grants for local employees to receive high-end technological training. And then we have also Industry 4.0. There's also the training opportunities there. Now, with the reindustrialization funding scheme, we have received over 21 applications, and some $150 million have been approved in funding. Now, INT will help to bring about diversity to our economic development, also improve people's standard of living. And this kind of government has plans to develop a smart city for the convenience of the public and to benefit different sectors. This will also take Hong Kong forward in our development. Now, there are various measures under the Smart City Blueprint for Hong Kong 2.0, and we will also encourage government departments to make better use of innovation technology to provide public service. For example, we have the IM Smart. This is a one-stop platform, and the public could access online services of various government and private sector organizations. And also, by the middle of this year, the public will be able to apply for most licenses online. Now, the 2021 policy address brings about the new paradigm and new future to Hong Kong under the new era. I and my team will continue to work very hard. We will listen with humility to members' views. In the future, let's hope we will work closely together with members, and then together we could promote the development of innovation and technology in Hong Kong. I so speak. I ask members to support the motion of thanks. Thank you.
公及福利局局長。
Secretary for Labour and Welfare. President, I shall address members' comments, including the comments made during the first 3 sessions related to the LWB. Now, infection control for foreign domestic helper is under our purview. Now, according to the Employment Ordinance, foreign domestic helpers can, on a voluntary basis, receive compensation for working during rest days. Of course, on rest days, foreign domestic helpers should be encouraged to rest at home. An easier way to do so is to provide a compensation for foreign domestic helpers to stay at home and only request them to do minimal work at home. Concerning gathering of foreign domestic helpers in public places during holidays, like everyone in Hong Kong, foreign domestic helpers have to comply with all social distancing measures. In this weekend, the LWB will communicate with the embassies of relevant countries and promote and remind foreign domestic helpers of the distancing measures, as well as reminding them of the penalty. We we are aware that there are people online raising funds to pay for penalties issued to FDH. We hope that these activities will stop. Well, are they trying to undermine the government's anti-epidemic work? I call for a stop immediately. Concerning employment agency ordinance, as well as employment ordinance, the government is engaging in legislative work to well define the definition of sick leave and so on. A bill will be tabled as soon as possible. Members mentioned that vaccination should be sped up for relevant groups. This is also our focus. We are striving to vaccinate residents in RCHD and RCHEs. Currently at RCHEs and the Asian World Expo, we are encountering unprecedented risks. We have been ramping up the work in this regard. Because of the exponential increase in cases, we are swiftly adjusting our policies. The LWB will work closely with the FHB to protect the health and life of the residents in care homes. Members suggest that we should provide a retraining and on-the-job support for young people convicted during the 2019 blackout violence. Retraining and job support services will be available for these young people. We will enhance collaboration between the Labour Department and the Correctional Services Department and other rehabilitation groups. Now, members call for the speedy implementation of the mandatory reporting mechanism. I hope members can understand that if we have this system implemented in the short run, more complaints will be made. So we have to have the supporting mechanism. Some people may abuse the system to dodge responsibility. It may overburden the system and delay intervention for urgent cases. That's why we have to tread very carefully. Concerning the training for professionals, we have to bear that in mind as well. Now, the anti-epidemic work is the forefront of our efforts. Progress of other work would be delayed inevitably. However, we will still do our best. In terms of human resources policy, as mentioned in the policy address, there will be a consolidation of the portfolio under the LWB. Concerning minimum wage, in last weeks. During the meeting of the panel on manpower, I have addressed the relevant points. I'm not going to labor the points anymore. Concerning the unemployment support system and the AEF, I shall not repeat my points either. Concerning members' suggestions on improving labor welfare and protection, I can say that the current term government has spared no effort on protection of labor rights, including increasing the number of maternity and paternity leave as well as the number of statutory holiday. Next week, if everything goes smoothly, we will have the first reading of the abolition of the offsetting mechanism. The implementation date is expected to be year 2025, where the plan will be fully implemented. We have also enhanced occupational health and safety measures. In terms of poverty alleviation, it is a huge area, and because of the limits of time, I cannot address each and every point. In future meetings of the panel on welfare services, I welcome more discussion on poverty alleviation. About expenditure on social welfare services, after the delivery of the budget next week, there will be abundant opportunities for such discussion. I so submit, President. I hope members will support the motion.
局長。
Secretary for Education. President, in earlier sessions, members expressed deep concern for the epidemic in Hong Kong. I pledge to members here that the Education Bureau will mobilize all efforts and resources and take this fight against the epidemic as our top priority to participate in the work. We will send people to the community to help intercept the virus. We will support schools' anti-epidemic work and to coordinate in our student vaccination arrangements. Now, in this part of the motion, I thank members for your valuable comments on the PA, nurturing talent and quality education. Now, education is about building up character and developing virtues. Any change in policy will have profound implications on our young people in the whole community. Our vision for education is to nurture our young people into quality citizens with a sense of national identity and social responsibility and affection for Hong Kong as well as an international perspective. The role of the government in education is not merely a provider of resources, but is also a policymaker, administrator, and regulator. On this basis, we keep raising the quality of education to build up an education system commensurate with one country, two systems, and monitor and follow up on school education and teacher conduct to straighten issues involving education in Hong Kong. We thank members for your concern for national education and also national security education. We released the various education curriculum framework pilot version with emphasis placed on enhancing students' sense of belonging towards our country from an early age, appreciating Chinese culture and traditional values, showing respect for the national symbols and signs, including national flag, the national emblem, and the national anthem, and understanding the constitution, basic law, and the importance of national security so as to cultivate students' sense of national security. And this will heighten student sense and responsibility in safeguarding national security, and I think national education is an indispensable part. We've already revised a student. We will promote national education. We revised the Chinese history curriculum at the junior second level last year, and the curriculum has been extended to S2 this year. To enable all students in Hong Kong to study Chinese history in a holistic and systematic manner, the senior secondary citizen and social development subject has been introduced from S4 in this school year. Its curricular content is closely related to national development, which enables students to gain an accurate and comprehensive understanding of topics related to national security and national security. And we've also introduced 93 recommended texts and promote Chinese classic sayings so as to enable students to have a better understanding of the essence of Chinese culture and to appreciate the wisdom of Chinese classics and develop virtues. We will give all the necessary support to students. Now, to train or to nurture our students, we need a team of professional teachers. teachers are role models of students. They have profound impact on the growth of students, and their deeds and words must be in line with their professional conduct and live up to the expectations of the public. Now, we have the duty to monitor the quality and conduct of teachers, as well as maintain professional dignity of teachers, and to strengthen public confidence. The Education Bureau will strengthen the overall management of the teaching force, promote students' professional development, and enhance their professional conduct and capacity. Specific measures include arranging sufficient and appropriate teacher training, formulating a set of guidelines on teachers' professional conduct, and strengthening teachers' entry requirements. For instance, starting from the next school year, public sector schools should only appoint new teachers who have passed the basic law. Guidelines on teachers' professional conduct to be formulated will include clear guidelines, example, to help students and teachers to be mindful about their words and deeds and be law-abiding. We will seriously handle cases of teachers involving in unlawful acts of misconduct, while teachers with distinguished talents and virtues will be commended. We'll continue to arrange systematic training with a view to strengthening teachers' understanding of the Constitution, basic law, national security, education, and teachers' professional conduct. We will also help teachers gain first-hand experience about the development of our country and enhance their sense of national identity through study tours on the mainland. We'll continue to enhance collaboration with Teacher Education Institute with a view to further enhancing the quality of pre-service training. Now, some members are very concerned about multiple pathways and VPAT. Now, in 2020, the Working Group on VPAT submitted a real report to the government with a number of suggestions that include setting up of a steering committee on VPAT. And in late 2020, we also started a pilot scheme on applied learning and also a review of associate degree programs so that we can have a more a clearer positioning and delineation of the different types of degrees and programs. We also support our ERB to enhance support with mainland institutions, including together with Shenzhen, we should provide opportunities for internship and also exchange with Shenzhen. From time to time, the administration will review the development of higher education to ensure that we can keep up with times and our students can use their strengths to contribute to society. We'll continue to listen to members' views on higher education and formulate measures to ensure that the development of our higher education institutions and also VPAT institutions can meet the needs of society. Once again, I'd like to thank members for your opinions on various education issues. We are all ears and we will continue to work with members to improve our education system. Now, to nurture a new generation of responsible young people, we need the concerted efforts of the government, the community, and the education sector, as well as parents. We look forward to implement the various education initiatives in the PA so that we can further raise our quality of education and live up to the expectations of the community. With these remarks, I urge members to support the motion. Thank you.
Chief Secretary for Administration. President, on behalf of the SL government, I would like to give a concluding reply to this 3-day debate. I'm glad to see that in the past 3 days, in the 4 debate sessions, the members spoke actively. In the entire debate, members expressed views on the overall interest of Hong Kong. There was rational debate. They did not undermine the interests of the country or Hong Kong with distorted facts or mudslinging. They did not undermine one country, two systems. They instead, their views were constructive with the overall interest of Hong Kong in mind. This goes to show that after the improvement to the electoral systems and the implementation of the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong, there is healthy interaction between the executive and the legislature. And there is also a promotion of good governance, and these 2 measures have built a solid foundation for that. The principal officials have listened attentively to members' views in the past 3 days. They've also responded to members' views in relation to their respective policy areas. I'm sure they will continue to work with their colleagues to keep improving the relevant policies to make sure they're effective and suitable. Well, it's most important that there is a positive relationship between the executive and the legislature. The chief executive attends the questions and answer sessions and question time regularly in this council to answer members' questions in person. Various principal officials would also have more exchanges with members when they formulate policies. And in replying to members' oral question, principal officials will try to be concise and come up with some clear arguments. As the Chief Secretary for Administration, I will continue to meet weekly with the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of the House Committee so we could have closer ties and work closely together. I'm grateful to the President for adjusting the arrangement of the debate on this motion. He's made emerging from the epidemic the theme of the first debate session. He also allowed me to make opening remarks so we could report to members on the government's assessment of the epidemic, our anti-epidemic effort, and also plans we're making to receive support from the central authorities. The SL government will continue to do its very best, and with the full support of the central authorities, we will try to address the 3 bottlenecks in our fight against the epidemic. We will substantially boost our testing capacity. We will provide more isolation and treatment facilities, and we will certainly triumph over the epidemic. I'm glad to see that members support in general the reorganization of government structure proposal of the government. The one primary objective of the reorganization proposal is to make sure that we have dedicated policy bureau. For example, the Culture, Sports and Tourism Bureau, the Housing Bureau, and the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau will allow the government to take more concrete measures to respond to the views of the public. The government will collect views on the reorganization proposal and pass them on to the Chief Executive Designate. On economic development, members agree that Hong Kong should leverage on its unique advantage of one country, 2 systems and seize upon the immense development opportunities presented by the 14th Five-Year Plan and the Greater Bay Area development. And then we could expand the scope for development for Hong Kong. In fact, as the government conceives the proposal of the reorganization of the government structure, we have given due consideration to Hong Kong's role in taking an active part in the 14th Five-Year Plan. For example, the new Transport and Logistics Bureau would help to consolidate Hong Kong's position as an international maritime center and international aviation hub under the 14th Five-Year Plan. The Innovation Technology Industry Bureau will help to build Hong Kong into an international innovation and technology center. This government will continue to play the role of facilitator and promoter. We'll make use of our overseas and mainland economic and trade officers, the Invest Hong Kong and the Trade Development Council to link up businesses with the world so they could find new business opportunities and expand the market. On the other hand, we will make active use of the 14th Five-Year Plan, the Greater Bay Area Development, and the Qianhai Plan, the dual circulation policies and so on of the government, so we could better integrate into the national development. Many members have expressed views on improving the living environment and increasing housing production. Now, speeding up land and housing supply is one of the top priorities of this government. And the Development Bureau will work closely with various policy bureaus and departments to review the statutory processes for land development. And the aim is to consult the panel on development in March this year, and then we will come up with legislative proposals within this year. The Housing Authority and the Housing Society has been widely adopting the modular integrated construction method and other new construction technology to speed up housing production. And in this debate, members expressed views on various livelihood issues, including health care services, elderly services, protecting children, and so on. Just now, the Secretary for Labour and Welfare already gave a reply. Helping the poor and the disadvantaged is another top priority of this government. In 2021-22, the government's recurrent expenditure on education, welfare, and healthcare is $30.23 billion, which is a year-on-year increase of 45.2%. And you can compare that to the local GDP growth of 5.5%. It shows that government is committed to caring for the disadvantaged. The various policy bureau and departments will put forward policies to help the poor, to make sure there's improvement for those concerned. President, I and all principal officials share your desire to make sure that we could enhance our governance, and then we will come up with measures for the benefits of the people. The very first top priority of the government right now is to bring the epidemic under control. President Xi Jinping has already made important instructions. The SL government will definitely follow these instructions, and we will spare no effort. And we will mobilize all necessary resources and take all necessary steps to ensure the safety of the public and the health of the public. We will also ensure there is social stability, and then Hong Kong people could go back to normal way of life. I invite members to support the 2021 policy address. I invite you to build a bright future together with the SAR government. So I speak. Thank you. The Council has completed the debate sessions on the motion on the 2021 policy address, and Ms. Starry, you still have 7 minutes to speak, to reply. Then the debate will come to a close. Ms. Starry LEE. President, I'd like to thank 88 members who have spoken actively in the three-day debate in support of the motion of thanks, the motion that I've moved. Members spoke for a total of 20 hours, 21 minutes. In the light of the severe fifth wave of epidemic, 80 members spoke at the first debate session with a theme of emerging from the epidemic. They've come forward with various suggestions. And then also members expressed various views on policy areas of concern to them. That includes many constructive suggestions. I would like to stress again, I hope that the Chief Executive and all principal officials have heard clearly the views expressed by electoral members who represent different sectors and constituencies. The government should work together with members and focus on our effort to fight the epidemic, because we don't, and then people of Hong Kong could go back to a normal way of life. We don't want to let down President Xi Jinping and other national departments and central leaders for their care and instructions. Now, members, I would also like to thank the officials who respond to the various views expressed by members on different occasions. This will allow the public to learn more and understand more, and then they will have less concerns and unease. Now, we have to bear in mind this is an unprecedented epidemic that we and the whole world have to face. And we want to protect lives, we want to protect health. This is a battle, and we have to go all out to fight this battle, and so we can win the battle. Now, this motion of thanks debate is a platform for members to express views on the policy address. The motion itself is neutral. I hope members will support the motion, and I would also like to take this opportunity to encourage members and the government to work together with the public. Thank you. And I'll put the question to you that Ms. Starry LEE's motion be passed. With those in favour, please raise their hands. Those against, please raise their hands. I think the question is agreed by a majority of each of the two groups of members present, that is, those returned by the election committee and those returned by functional and geographical constituencies, are declared the motion passed. And our agenda council. The council will resume on Wednesday, the 23rd of February 2022 at 11 a.m.